Hey guys, how you doing? Gavin Timms with REI Network. Welcome back for another episode. Today I have a guest on that's already been on before. He's a coaching client. He's an awesome guy. He's here to deliver a lot of value today regarding actually doing deals. So even though he's one of my clients, he actually makes things happen, pushes business to the next level. We've been the highs and the lows of consistently doing deals for a month consistently to that dip into bringing it back up. And we're going to be talking about that. I think it's really important that when I bring guests on the show, we're actually bringing on people that are still doing deals today that have started within the last year. They're actually making it a success because a lot of you listeners are here to get the same. All right. And to build that success, to grow that business, to start working on the business, not in it. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So let me bring him over. I have joining me Chris Arnold. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Gavin. Thanks for bringing me on.
I appreciate it, bud. Let me see here if you're watching us. I'm going to drop there we go. Drop our names on the screen there. So Chris, I appreciate you coming on. I know I only asked you yesterday, but you've got a lot of momentum going, and I want to talk about that. You know, this episode is going to be labeled 3 in closing, 3 under contract in 30 days. And that is not follow up. That's the key. So anyone that's starting off, yes, you've been consistent before, so that helps. But you're someone that has literally took the bull by the horns, all right, and you've just listened and just done it, right? You're a pleasure to work with in that you don't question me. You don't second guess. You just get on with it and make it happen. And, you know, for people that watched our last episode, you know, the first time, brand new to real estate, never done a deal. We went virtual, leaving California. You got 5 closed in the first 37 days. Okay, I think 12 under contract, which is amazing. You've then built a successful, consistent business of 4 deals, lost it, bought it back again. So we're going to cover that, Chris. So tell us a little bit, just real quick, about you. Where are you living? Where are you doing business? And let's dive in about that momentum, consistency, and why it dipped and why it's back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And you know, working with you has been a pleasure. You know, you tell me exactly what needs to happen next, and I just go do it. And then if I have any questions, you know, we talk about it, go forward. So it's been a pleasure working with you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I live here in Northern California, beautiful Northern California, East San Francisco Bay Area, which, as many know, is a really hot market right now. And so what we decided when we were first beginning is that we need to pick a virtual market that I can work in to get started in. And so, you know, we did our research and we found out that, you know, Louisiana was going to be the spot for us to get going. And so we started there. And as you said earlier, you know, the first 30, 45 days we got in, we had 5 contracts in closing. And then we were doing consistent, roughly 4 contracts a month thereon, on a very straightforward basis, cold calling, following up the leads, you know, sending offers and all that stuff.
Yeah. And with that, just real quick. So how long did it take? Obviously we did. I don't shy away from this, that you're my most successful student at that pace, being brand new, right? Which is awesome. But I think it's important that, I mean, you were working it as well. I mean, you were putting in the effort, right? When I said talk to minimum of 5 sellers a day, 3 offers a day to do a deal, you know, you're doing 10 hours on the phone every day, right? To get it, to want it. I just want to point that out because it's important for listeners. We don't want to make out that this is easy. You're actually putting the work in. You're building the systems, right? And what you're seeing now is that we have a marketing machine that, and we're going to come to this, but you literally can just turn things on and off, right? It's just like a faucet. You can drip leads in, you can blast leads in, you can turn leads off, which you never want to turn leads off, in my opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So you started off, you got it going. How long did it take you, would you say, to get the consistency of multiple deals a month?
So it did take me about 90 days because, you know, after that first 30 days of getting contracts in, I wasn't familiar with real estate at all. And then I wasn't familiar with the closing process, like putting it in title and all the title issues that could come up, dealing with the sellers through that process. And so it was a major learning curve. And so we slowed a bit to focus on the closed contracts. Now, mind you, leads were still coming in and still needed to be followed up with, but it was just me doing it. So those fell on the ground. So we kind of ramped back up around August, September last year, and then started building the pipeline again to a more consistent level. And then January of this year, we really just kicked it into gear and said, we're all in, we're focused on this. I got an acquisition manager and started hitting it really hard for 90 days.
Yeah. So you bought on, right? I'm big on how do I take a client? I work with people from doing a lot of deals. Okay. I work with flippers that have been in the business 25 years to someone that's brand new. All right. And obviously you're part of a group, you get to see that. But the goal is to be a business owner, right? That's the goal for you. How do I work on the business? Okay. How do I have this serving me, making money and serving others and your team members, solving problems? And that's the goal. So you put this acquisition guy in place who's actually doing a great job. Unfortunately, well, you tell us, he got sick, and that's kind of when it started to go a little wobbly for you.
Yeah, we had a really good pace. So January, we were rebuilding from being off for the holidays. And then in February, we got 2 or 3 contracts in. And then March, we got 4 more. And then towards the end of March, something happened with and this is full blast, 3 cold callers, I think at the time, bringing in leads, us all following up with the leads, texting, etc. And so everything was moving at a very fast pace and we were there. Good momentum. Dispo was doing their job. Everybody was on all 8 cylinders. And then my acquisition manager actually had some health problems. Which was very unfortunate. And I didn't know what was going on with him for a month. His wife called me like right after he stopped working, because we spoke every day. We're pretty regular. He's local to me, so that kind of a thing. Anyway, he's back and he's fine and everything's great, but he was off. And so what slowly began to happen is I needed to step back into his role. And now we have an assembly line of leads just coming in every day. I think we were at 9 to 10 leads a day from our cold callers that needed to be touched. You know, the acquisition person has to call them, has to get the condition, has to build a relationship. And so actually what ended up happening for me in that situation is I couldn't make all those calls. I was already running the business and, I have another business. And so I'd allowed my acquisition manager to kind of run with that position with some freedom because he's really good and self-managing and all that stuff. Anyway, so I started going through the leads and saying, okay, I'll call these 3 because they seem like someone I need to talk to. These 3 just remodeled. They want retail. They're probably going to list it with the realtor. So I started kind of hard qualifying the leads because it's now my time back on the phone. And so in that we pulled a couple of contracts, but just at a much slower pace. And the visual I had while I'm going through this was an assembly line and a conveyor belt, and I'm at the end, and all these leads are just flying by me, falling on the ground, piling up. And so now I'm just sitting here like I don't know what to do. I was frustrated. Anyway, so I started cleaning that up. I actually had to slow down the lead flow. I didn't want to because we were doing so well before, and everybody was happy and doing well. So I gave it 3 weeks before I told my callers, hey, we gotta slow down a little bit. Anyway, so we reduced everything.
The key is though, slow down, not stop. Right.
Because I needed to keep them motivated. Right. Because if you say, hey, I only need you for less time now, then they start looking for other jobs and stuff like that. Yeah. And so you need them invested in you as much as you're invested in them. You can't just turn them off and on, and expect that they'll be available. So that's why I waited a much longer period of time, probably than necessary. Because I knew they were generating leads for us, and I knew in the next 90 days or so, we'd pull some of those leads and they'd make us money. So it made sense. Anyway, so I scaled everything back, and then slowly, I was able to start picking up. We spoke at that time, and we started getting down into the numbers on how many dials need to happen minimum on a daily basis to make X amount of dollars. Say it's 500, say it's $1 million, whatever that number is. I just knew we had to make 50 dials. And so I recalibrated everything. So when my lead manager came back or when my acquisition manager came back, I said, you have to be able to make 20 calls a day. I'll make the other 30. You make 20. Because I knew I needed to keep my pulse on things too while he was recovering and then getting back up to speed. Does that make sense? He was out.
Yep.
So he was kind of like, where are we? What are we doing? And so it took a little bit. And so we worked together to kind of ramp him back up. And then probably by mid-month last month, we're back on all cylinders. So this is in mid-May. And then I started doing texting. He was doing his 20 calls. I was doing my 20 calls. And then we hired a lead warmer, right? Because if you open our calendar every day, we have 30 or 40 calls in there each. And we need him to go through and see who's available that day for us. So we're spending our time on the phone with deals rather than chasing it. So do you need me to stop there or?
No. Keep going. I think this is really good for people because, again, it's just identifying the things that need to happen to actually be successful, right? And I think there's a difference between anyone that I work with now, we screen them heavy because I don't want someone just wanting to do one deal. I only take people on that want to build a business, that want to be successful, because it's, especially with our new format, which we're going to come on to, everyone now is different. Our interaction's different. We need everyone with the same mindset of what we're trying to do, else it's not, you can see how it won't work, right? In the format that we have. And I think it's good to understand that, when you said to me, well, how am I going to do multiple deals? We've got to be hitting a minimum of $50 a day. And we're not talking cold call dials. We're talking actually people like in the system that came in from a new lead or a follow-up lead. We need to be doing a minimum of 50 a day, hopefully more, 80 a day, right? And then having as many contacts and talks and connections as we can with them people to be able to hit the numbers that you want. Because in a business, the numbers will never lie. And it is a complete numbers game. And when you hit them numbers, you're going to then reach the targets that you want. And it's not rocket science. Like if you said to me, I want to do 20 deals a month, $50 ain't enough, right? 50 contacts aren't enough. We need 3 or 4 people doing 50 contacts a day or whatever, right? And then you're just going to put more money in the hopper. You're going to create more leads. And it becomes a point, as you all know, when I talk on the coaching call, it's what do you want? What are you trying to achieve? Because how big do you want to go? Because I believe that there's a limit where people think, okay, if I can do $1 million or $2 million in real estate and you're going to take home X amount, let's say you're going to make 40% of that. Don't think that you're going to do 10 million and you're going to take 40% of that, because you're not, right? I know a lot of people in the business that might run a $5-6 million business, but they're not making the same percent of when they were doing $1 million or $2 million. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's that leeway that people need to understand of, again, the vision and what you're trying to create. For me, it's lifestyle, doing consistent deals, making good money, great money from real estate. But there's more to it than just work, right? And I talk about that. But I don't push my vision on anyone else. I take that. But it's good for people to see the breakdown of our conversations of going, yeah, you're going to hit 50. And guess what happens, right? You start to then hit them 50, right? You start to do that between you and delegating between you and your acquisition. Now he's better. And that consistency to now what's actually happening. So tell us about that. What is happening like now? How have we done from it slowing down? And this is what I've always been impressed. And I have probably 2 or 3 of you in the group that do this. And it's frustrating for me at times, right? Because there's 3 of you that can just turn it on and make money when you want, right? And people would like give the left arm to do it, right? They literally would listen to it. They would literally probably give the left arm.
They're annoyed with us.
Yeah, they're frustrated. And I'm like, cool, like Steve does it, right? 6 contracts in a week just when he decides he wants to do it. So it's like, all right, cool. We've got to that point. We know your closers. We know you can do it. Now we got to just push them systems to say, let's do that consistently without you, right? And now that's the next step. But tell us about it. How have you done 3 in 30 days? And now you've got more in the pipeline than this, but I picked this topic for new marketing, right? New marketing. In 30 days, you have 3 contracts in closing and 3 under contract from within 30 days of marketing. This is important. We're not throwing any follow-up in this. We're just saying new. So when people say, can I do a deal in 30 days? You know, of course you can, right? If you put the effort in. So tell us about it. How's it look? How have you done that?
So, you know, our conversation on minimum dials that need to happen just reminded me and resonated with me real hard, because then I started looking at my numbers, our calls per day, and they were like, okay, I'm making 10 calls a day. They were quality calls, but it wasn't enough. And so then I started going, how can we get up to 50? So I was doing it at first. I just started making the calls. Now, did I hit 50? No, because I had 30 other things to do. But we started doing that more regularly. And then when my acquisition manager came back, I said, you have to hit, 15 to 20 calls a day. We just got to do it. And so when we started doing that on a every day, so we report numbers every day. I put my numbers in there, he puts his numbers in there. And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, we made 30 calls today. Where can we make up for the next few days? Or did we close a deal? Like, what happened? But the main thing is action. And I think what's important to know is I didn't know much about real estate when I first started calling. I just knew I needed to call and I need to talk to as many people as possible. And I think you gain, number one, you gain more confidence, but you're going to
just hold on, Chris. We're just losing you a little. We're just losing you. Am I clear to you?
Yeah, loud and clear.
You're just going in and out a little.
I didn't change anything here.
Let me see. Have you got anything else running on the computer? Maybe just the bandwidth. Because you were getting in. Sorry to cut you off, but you were getting into like real key points, and you were just going in and out a little.
Nope, everything's off from, I think, just Skype's up, but that's it. Let me close it. Yeah. Do you need me to change headphones?
No, it's not headphones. It was just your screen. You just started going in.
Oh, no.
It was just a signal. It was only just that point, so we're good. I think you're back. Just talk again.
Yeah, I'm here testing.
Okay, we're good. Let's roll it. We'll just continue. So you were just getting into it. So you were doing these calls. You didn't know what you were doing, but you knew that you had to take massive action. You knew you had to talk to more people. That's what you were saying. So pick it up from that.
Yeah, and it was a mindset for me. I just knew I had to take a lot of action to compensate for not knowing very much, right? And make the offers. I looked at our numbers. We weren't making the dials and we weren't making the offers. Actually, what happened is we started making the dials and then we weren't making enough offers. I'm like, why are we talking to so many people? And so I just I undid all the limiting parameters of, hey, only send offers when, and said, we're sending offers to everybody, regardless. And then we'll deal with it after the fact. And so we're like, we need to send offers. And I think I looked yesterday for this week, we have 40 offers out in today's Friday.
Awesome.
But we ramped up to that, right? It didn't happen, and we're doing texting and calling. So it's a combination of those two things plus follow-ups. And so it's just a tidal wave of activity that is starting to move at a fast pace. But if you never do like those initial calls to get that warmed up and get it going, then it's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah. The key thing is as well, though, you said was your goal was, when we talked about it, you said, what is it going to take? And I said, I need you to do $50 a day, right? You or someone. Again, anyone listening to this, we're not saying you have to, but it needs to be done by you or somebody, right? And look what happened. You said, and I never even hit that, but guess what happens? You never reached the target that we set, but you're still doing deals. You're still making money. You still got properties in closing by hitting portions of it. Right. So you can now see, well, when I do get to that, what's going to happen? Right. Yeah. You're going to see where now it makes sense. So instead of doing 2, 3, 4 deals a month, now I'm going to be able to do 4 every month closing. Yeah. We're not talking about contracts. We're talking closing. Right. We know that it might take 30 days to close a property. That's out of your control and anyone's control. Right. Because it's set to close. But if you can get 4 closing every month, that means that you're probably getting 5, it's probably 7, 8 contracts every month to get for actually closing. And then, but to get them 6 to 10 contracts every month, you've got to have your dials. You've got to be hitting your offers. And the exciting thing is, and Terry, one of the new guys that's just joined us from St. Louis, you know, what I was like, just like, this is going to be a game changer, because he's like, oh yeah, we just got appointments, and the deals that I do, we just have one conversation. I do 0 follow-up. And I'm like, you have lost your mind, because 90% of what I do is from follow-up. So if you can adapt that piece, you should be there. And if you're doing 4 deals a month from new marketing, you should be doing 10 plus deals a month, including your follow-up, right, over a period of time, which is exciting for you, because even though you're now driving leads in, and we're going to talk about why that is in a minute, and I share exactly the same view on this as you, but you're driving leads in and you're getting contracts now, but all these leads that you're generating and creating over the next 6+ months are still going to be converting. And that's the beauty of it. So I just wanted to, you know, point that out. On a marketing level, let's talk about it. Obviously, cold calling is number one, right? We talk about that. And then when you mentioned text messaging, you text message, I text message. I just did a video on this as well, about doubling down on text messaging while we can, right? And you're already paying for the data, right? The money is in the list and the data. You've already spent it and you're already cold calling it. So while we can, and whenever you're listening to this episode, maybe times have changed, but we have to stay compliant in what we do, right? We have to stay compliant in what we do, and text messages is going to get harder. We know that. We don't know if it's in a week or in a month or in 6 months or in a year or when. They've been talking about it for months. It is getting harder. They are putting things in place, but it's not yet. So we've both adopted this idea of, let's double down. Let's hit it as hard as we can. Let's overwhelm the pipeline of leads. Let's stack them. Let's get them in while we can before it changes and it becomes 1, impossible, or 2, the compliance is so regulated. Thank you. That it becomes not even worth it, right? And we're not there yet. So we're using Batch. If you want, batchleads.io/Gavin. Okay, you get 5,000 free records. Sign up, and then there's a bolt-on for text messaging. You can send 1,000 text messages a day, and then get them out. Set your templates up. Get your text messages, engage. Get them on the phone, and get them into your CRM and build the pipeline. And we're talking about obviously everything I teach in terms of wholesaling and flipping and finding discounted properties. Your best lists are going to be off market. Do not think going to Zillow and all of that and expireds for wholesale deals. Yes, you can do a deal, but you aren't going to be cranking 3, 4, 5 a month. It just isn't happening. That is a place for creative finance, lease options, owner finance. That's where you want to go for them type of deals. But if you want to find discounted properties, you need to be going off market, direct to seller. In my opinion, that's what I see in my business. And Chris, obviously, I kind of guided you to do that, but you're seeing the success in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're doubling down. We're doing as much as we can, especially with Batch, because they're highly compliant, right? And so they already kind of do all that for you. You just have to make sure you're following the rules. But we're, in addition to cold calling, the same list. We loaded that list in a Batch. I'm doing it right now, but I'm doing training videos on it. I don't know how it's going to last, but I do it for 2 to 3 hours a day. Just because you have to focus on it. You're texting people, you're live, they're reacting and responding, so you have to react and respond. And most of those are not interested right now, but they're the property owner or it's a rental. And so I move that into our lead manager. Because at some point, we're going to talk to them again and say, hey, remember us? We talked to you. Oh, yeah, I wasn't interested. Whatever. But we're creating way more leads in our system to follow up with on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And so even though it's a no for now, it's it's a maybe later, but also I've pulled a ton of investors out of it because we're hitting people, we're talking to people, and some of them are property owners. And they're like, hey, I don't want to sell this one, but I got another one. Or I'm an investor. If you come across anything, let me know. So there's a lot of good things that are coming out of that texting thing. Because like you said, some people will text that won't pick up the phone. You personally will pick up the phone. I'll actually respond to a text before I pick up the phone. Yeah. And so, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
You get some creative responses.
And I guarantee, and people can test this, go and get 20 people, text all 20, call all 20, direct mail all 20, and you'll only have a few that will double down, like you'll get on both. Otherwise, you've just gone, okay, instead of getting 2 leads, you got 6 leads from 3 different marketing, and they're all different people, right? And if you then multiply that, that's what you're saying. And batch, like I said, batchleads.io/Gavin, you get your 5,000 free records, you skip trace it, you text messaging, I think for that account, it's like $70 a month, okay? And then start texting. And you can get someone, a VA, if you're at work, whatever, someone in the family, son, daughter, husband, wife, aunt, uncle, grandparents, I don't know, whatever it is. The software is not rocket science. I mean, you'll just click, 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 click. You wait like a text message would, and you can do fast response or type a response. I mean, we're talking, everyone's got one of these, Chris. Everyone's got a phone. Everyone texts every single day, and using the software is not rocket science. And the reason people say, well, why don't I use, we use FreedomSoft, right? All right, simple FreedomSoft, and it's like, well, why not do it in there? Because they're limiting you to 100 a day to stay compliant, okay? And I don't want a load of noise in my CRM. I'm very much like everyone in my CRM is not a record, they're a lead, okay? And there's a difference. When we put things into batch or we cold call, they're records. They're not leads. They don't even know what we want or if they have what we want or vice versa. So I like to turn them into leads, push them into the CRM. Let's work them from there. So everything in the CRM as the hub of the business was interested at some point. They were either interested in offer, they're interested in selling to get there, and then we work them through follow-up, obviously, to get results. So that's really good. So to actually get then, so this is pretty simple. This would be the marketing plan, right, that you've adopted, let's say in the last 30 days to get 3 in closing. Guys, this is in closing. We're not talking contracts. We're talking buyers have signed, closing dates are happening, checks are waiting to be received. Now, anything could still happen, but 3 in closing, 3 under contract within 30 days. The marketing plan is pretty simple, okay? You've pulled lists, you've skip traced it. You've got cold callers, okay, cold calling. You got texting happening. You're bringing leads in, you're having quality conversations, you're making offers, you're getting contracts signed, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's it. Yeah. And then you bring in Dispo in to help you move the deals. So while you're keeping that pipeline full, right, you're getting a Dispo guy moving them, getting them into closing so you can keep focusing between you and your acquisition to bring more deals in. And then to grow this, the cool thing is when you're ever training an acquisition person is that you never just hand over the job, right? This is like just critical. If you want to tank a business, just go and hand it over to someone else, right? Yeah. And tank it.
Fastest way to do it.
Fastest way to tank a business, just hand it over to someone that's new. And just because they interviewed well, just because they're good at sales, and you expect them to come in and close the amount of deals that took you, as in the listener, months and months to art, right? To craft. If it took you 6 months to craft to be able to get 4 consistently in closing, why do you feel that a brand new acquisition to real estate, even though he's been in sales for 20 years or whatever, is just going to come in and do that? It doesn't make sense. So you have to do it as a junior acquisition. They listen to you. They do a lot of your legwork. They do a lot of the chasing, a lot of the rapport building, a lot of finding information to get them comfortable with the terminology. And then you build them from there. You build them to then okay, you do like you're doing now, Chris, half the calls I take, half the calls you take. Until you can get their intake of volume up and their consistency in closing, then you start to step away. But you can't just cold turkey stop because you're just going to face plant the business, right? And then have the next one, bring the next one under, and then and same thing again.
Yeah, exactly. I think the hardest part is getting someone to be a you when you were doing the acquisitions, because when we're doing it and when you were doing it, you're actually doing everything. So you're not just being acquisition, you see the whole picture already. So you're like, I know where I need this to go, right? But for that
Yep.
person, they just have to do that, the sales.
Yep.
Or the
We had a meeting yesterday with me and Melissa did, and we just said, look, like acquisition, like we're struggling to find acquisition people that want to be on the phone. If you're listening to this, guys, reach out to me, DM me. Okay, if you're interested, right, in being on the phone, reach out. We're looking right now for people. And here's the thing, is you have partners. I've always been successful in partnerships, okay?
Mhm.
I'm not the guy or have the answers, and I don't think anyone does in acquisition roles, right? Because acquisition, the good ones are always going to go and do their own thing or try, right?
Yeah.
Because it's their nature. If you can sell, you can always make money in this business, in any business, really. If you're good on the phone, you'll always make money. I think it's $1 million skill in any business to make money. So we had this conversation, and I said, look, here's the deal. When you take a partner, right, you'll both have, just like you see with your partnerships that you've created, that you both have the same interest, right? You both want to build this to something. You both invested in it. You're not calling each other, making sure that you're out of bed and you're on the phone and doing your job. It's just happening because you both have the same vision. When you take an acquisition person that's on the phone, it's a job. That's what it is. It's a job. So that means that your accountability needs to be on the next level, right? Your structure of what they're doing needs to be on the next level. And you do have to be careful, depending on what state, if you're 1099 in or if they're employed and W-2 and all these things, because I know California, as Don was saying in Coffee with Closers the other day, like it's crazy. Like, I don't know that. I don't know the laws on every state, the way that you set up. But regardless, is that these are jobs and they need to be, that their comfort zone is 90, I don't know what percentage of America have W-2 jobs, but a lot, right? And they're used to structure, whether it's going in and you start at 9 till 5 or you do these things. Acquisition is no different. So don't think that you're going to hire an acquisition and let them act like they're partners, because they're not. It's a job. Their numbers, keeping them accountable to how many dials they're doing, how many conversations they're having, how many offers they're making, right? You have to keep on top of it, because again, otherwise they will get lazy, they will get complacent, because it's just a job. And it's a job that, yeah, they might enjoy working with you, but it's still a job. They'd rather do nothing if they could. And a business partner is, how do we grow? How do we make this better? How do we hire the next person? How do we make them better? So your conversations are different. I don't think everyone picks up on that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, like what you were saying about my disposition, he's actually a talented wholesaler in the market I'm in. And so we work together very well. He figured out he really likes disposition as long as I'm continuing to provide the contracts on the acquisition piece. And so now he's not even doing any more marketing and we're sharing in that. But he found out that's what he thrives at. And we're on Skype constantly talking like, hey, how'd this go? Or how'd this walkthrough go or whatever. And so I don't have to check in with him. On my acquisition guy, even though he's very talented and knows his stuff, he's still, how many offers did you get out yesterday? Or I saw in your report yesterday you did this or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, it was a slow day or whatever. Yeah. And that's even for the cold callers, for the lead managers. If you don't check in and say, hey, what's going on, then they'll just go in their own direction for a little bit. So it's just keeping, herding cats kind of,
Absolutely. It's communication, right? It's communication. Yeah. And the big thing is that you just said something that happened exactly the same way as me. When I started working, with Melissa, I said, hey, you do your own marketing, you do your own thing, but here's the goal. I'm going to get you so busy, you're going to make more money with me, okay, than you are on your own. And it's going to make sense for you to do this, right? But I'm not going to stop you doing it, because it's just going to be the natural transition. And it happens, right? And you can talk a good game in this business, but you have to deliver. And I remember when we first spoke and started working together, I remember jokingly saying to you, like, hey, like, if this doesn't work out, like, I'll hire you. So I've got you, like, because I already knew that you were going to do it, right? You did it in the first 30 days. And I'm glad you did. But there was a part of me, like, if I could get someone like you that's like wants to work and be on the phone, like, come and join me, right? So, no, good job. I think that's awesome. So great job. I think,
Thanks.
people will be able to take these action steps in what you're doing, and what we've talked about today to go, you know what, I see where I need to be. And we're talking about percentages, right? You go, well, I can't make 50 calls a day. Well, Chris isn't making 50 calls a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's still got 6 deals
Mm-hmm.
happening from the 30 days. We're not even bought up what from marketing ages ago. He's got more than that from marketing from down the line. But if you can do a percentage of it, this is the goal, guys. So when you say 5 quality calls a day, 3 offers a day, if you can do that, Chris did 40 offers this week. I want you to do 15 this week. I'm just talking about you doing a deal, not building a 10 deal a month right now. Let's do baby steps to get results, and then let's multiply it, and you understand that. So really, really good. So Chris, I appreciate that. I just want to talk about real quick and get your honest opinion. And we've not talked about this, so I'm intrigued to see what you think. We've changed the coaching program, right? I made a decision 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, that I wanted to change it up. I did a lot of one-to-one, and I wanted to bring in and say, how do I build a better community? How do I deliver and get people to see what other people are doing? And that was for you as well. I mean, you asked me, like, what's everyone else doing? How are they getting on? And I'm like, well, I know it all to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know what's going on with everyone, but not everyone knows what's going on. Meaning, you're not getting that motivation kick, right? You're not getting they're doing this and they're doing these deals.
Yeah.
So we created, and we've got into more of a group setting, live 4 times a week, different topics. Everyone's on video. Everyone gets to know each other. Everyone is more accountable this way. What do you think about the new setup? Honestly, and maybe you can say, hey, I preferred the old way. Like, you can honestly give your honest opinion here. Like, really.
I'm on the spot. I actually really enjoy it. I think there's a certain point when you start, there's proof of concept and you're doing deals, you want to know, hey, what's everybody else doing to make sure you're on the right track, or hey, I'm falling behind because of. But hearing in our groups, there's so many different experience levels. Obviously you're the main one we're focused on because you're helping us and build our own businesses, but having everybody else kind of come in and chime in and say, well, I did this and this worked, or I did this and it didn't work, or whatever. It's good to know in your peer group, like, what's going on. In addition, with all the rumors that can happen in our community as real estate investors, it's good to kind of see what's actually working right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, with just things that get out. Yeah, there's a lot of noise, and I like cutting through that because I like taking action. I'm like with your Coffee with Closers the other day with Ricardo on there, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going so slow. How do I, how can I do more? And I know right now I've learned I'm at my bandwidth. That's it. This is where we're at. The only way to do more is to bring more people on.
Absolutely.
Kind of a thing. But I like the new setup because it gives everybody something a little different on everyone every day. And it really depends on where you're at in your business, right? For me, it was really acquisition focused. So when you had Melissa on the other day, I really wanted to know what she does and how she does it, because how can I do that too? Kind of a thing. So I like it personally.
Yeah, no, and the other thing is as well, like, bringing in what I've from the feedback I've got is bringing in like my direct team, like my VAs, acquisition, from business partners, and digging into what they do, because I sit as kind of, everyone knows what I do, right? I run systems and basically just make sure things are happening. But sometimes I can get the disconnect from like what it really feels to be on that phone, because I'm not on the phone anymore. I'm not making them offers, but people are doing it. So hearing from them, well, how are you making these calls? How are you making these offers? How is my VA doing his follow-up for me and the conversations they're having? And I think it's important for you guys to listen to that and go, oh, wow, like, okay, I need this type of person in my business to do this kind of job. And that's how they're getting the results. Because people look and go, oh, yeah, cool. Well, how are you doing all this and you're not doing any of these? It's only because of my team, right? It's nothing to do with me, really. It's having a great team. And if you can build a great team, just like you have, building with the Dispo guy as a partner, where he's now got that comfortable that you have it dialed in, that he's like, I don't need to market. I'm just going to work your stuff because now we can do more deals together, right? And all them things are really important. So, guys, if you're looking to kind of work or you're interested in getting involved with people like Chris, with me, working with me, go to reinetwork.com/join. REI Network, I'm going to flash it on the screen if you watch it on YouTube. reinetwork.com/join. Yeah, right there. And apply. Let's have a conversation. And it's literally no push sale. We don't have anyone in there that is not trying to achieve the same thing. You've got to be willing to put the effort in, because I believe it takes you 6 months to really get this business going, whether it's the system part, whether it's outsourcing everything, whether it's doing your first deal. Okay, 6 months to get it rolling. And I need 6 months of your life dedicated to this business. And if you give me 6 months, I'm pretty confident I can get you results, big results. And maybe in 30 days, like Chris. And Chris, to be fair, gives me a lot of credit, but I give it him right back because he's doing it, not me. I'm not on the phone for him. I'm not holding his hand. I'm not waking him up. He's making it happen. And I think if you can just take a percentage of this, you're going to take it to the next level, guys. So if you're watching us on the pod, or listening to us on the podcast, you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like, drop comments in. I will go in and answer them questions. Let us know what you think of this. Hopefully you got some good takeaways. So what are they real quick? Double down on your text marketing right now while you can. Batchleads.io/Gavin. Sign up for the text messaging. Get the rotation of text messages and phone numbers to get a better deliverability while staying compliant. Batch are going to help with that. Bring in the leads while you can. Get them set in the pipeline, making sure you're keeping your campaign separate. Again, your goal, get on the phone. Start taking massive action. Start making offers. And we haven't even touched on the follow-up, right? Which is a different level. Like when I see Chris Arnold's got 6 deals, 3 in closing, 3 under contract, about to get in closing, hopefully, in 30 days, and we've not even talked about follow-up yet, then it's just going to get stupid. It's just going to, in 6 months, it's going to be stupid. The deal flow will be ridiculous. So great job, Chris. Chris, just before we go, how do people, well, one, I'm going to give you 2 things. One, how do people reach you? If you're in the Louisiana, if you're in the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area, and you got a JV deal, Chris can help you. You got a seller that you want to, JV with, I'm sure he'll be happy to help. So Chris, anything you want to share, and how do the people get hold of you before we go?
Yeah, we're doing all of our investing in Baton Rouge and in New Orleans. And so if there's any deals there that you need help with, you need to talk to a seller, anything to do with a property that's for sale, we'll help out in every way we can. We like serving that market. And then are you going to put my email on? So if someone wants to reach out to me, they can shoot me a quick email, ask me a question about anything to do with either something on here with Gavin. Hey, how's Gavin? Really? Is he a nice guy? Yeah, he's a great coach.
Yeah, we're not in the same room. I don't have a gun to his head or anything.
But yeah, just shoot me an email. So it's great.
Awesome. And then that is Chris at cj.properties. There is no .com. Okay.
No .com.
Chris at cj.properties is the email. Chris at cj.properties. Shoot him an email. Okay. And again, I'm telling you now, this business is hard enough. Do not go alone. That is one of the main things that I teach. If you're new, stop going alone, whether you're going to JV with me, with Chris, people in the group, the coaching program. Now is not the time to be alone in this business. It's hard enough. Focus on one thing at a time, take massive action, and we'll figure it out. Chris told you at the start of this episode, yeah, I was getting things under contract. I never knew anything about title or how to close a deal. Awesome. We don't want you to know any of that because you've got the contract. So many people want to know about moving a deal and title when there's no deal. No one wants to engage or talk to you guys without a deal. A title company are busy. They're doing 300 transactions a month. They haven't got time to answer your questions with no deal in place, ready to go. So just think about that. A buyer doesn't want to talk to you about a contract you don't have, right? A realtor doesn't want to say about, will you list my properties and help me move them with no deal. It's much easier to negotiate with, hey, I got a contract, I need help. I got a contract, I'm ready to close, I need help. Oh yeah, now let's work with you. It just makes sense. So don't worry about all the steps. Make sure you break this down step by step to get results. And it's going to stand you in good stead. So Chris, I appreciate you. Congrats. You know, you got a lot of money in closing. Deals are happening. And let's just not get off the let's stay on the saddle. Let's stay in the saddle. Let's not get off this time, right?
No way.
And you know, you've seen it, but the good thing is, you know that you could build it 10 times over. You now know that you can bring it back in your backyard. One of the big things I told you from the get-go, let's get out of California. Let's go and learn the craft. Let's go and learn the stages and make money. And now if you want to go back to California, you're now in a position where you know what it's going to take to do it. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gavin, for having me on. It's great stuff. Appreciate you. All right, guys, have a good one. Enjoy your day, your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.